Hello and welcome back to my channel. My name is Vivian and I discuss all things personal development, self-discovery, glowing up, and then also a little bit of travel, a little bit of lifestyle. But for the most part, I want to help women just like me get to their next level. And today, we are going to be talking about the topic of playing small, breaking out of that, and getting into the fullness of who you actually are meant to be. On this topic, I really want to focus on some of those self-limiting beliefs, some of those aspects that kind of got you to where you are today. Have you ever felt like, especially at work, if you're in corporate like me, you're capable of more, you can do more, but something is holding you back? Maybe it's a self-limiting belief, something that you've always told yourself that you believe is true. Or maybe there was an experience in the workplace that really got you there. Nonetheless, you have this feeling of, I just can't break out. I can't get to my next level. And most times you can't get to your next level because of that mental block. I really want to talk about dismantling really breaking into your next phase, your next promotion, your upward trajectory overall. So let's begin. The first thing I really want us to do is identify the problem. Why do some women wait to be chosen or validated before they step into some form of leadership? For me, I love being an individual contributor. I do not have a desire to be in management. However, leadership, it goes beyond being in management. Leadership is how you advocate for yourself in spaces where your perspectives, your intellect, what you know overall matters. Some ways playing small shows up, especially in the corporate space, is not speaking up, especially when you know an answer or detail that can benefit the masses. This could also look like downplaying your achievements, over apologizing, avoiding visibility opportunities. You kind of imagine you have like a hoodie over your head and you have, you're in one corner like that, you're there, but you're not there. What is the purpose of being in the positions that you're in if you're not going to shine? Your goal should always be to shine. Your goal should always make yourself visible in the best limelight, right? There are two types of visibility, right? You can be visible in a positive light or a negative light, but I'm imploring you to be visible in a positive light because you never know what that does. One thing that I've learned, especially when in meetings, is it doesn't matter if it's a group of 3 of us or a group of 300. If I have a question or if I'm saying some sort of commentary in an open space, let's just say in all hands, I first say, hi, my name is Vivian. I'm an ISV account manager on blah, blah, blah team. And I would love to ask ... I always start with some sort of introduction because it gives viewers the visibility of, okay, this is Vivian. If anything else, I may not even remember this question, but I'll definitely remember who this is. And you want that. You never know who's in the room watching. You never know what people are looking for at any given point. So you always want to be putting yourself in a position of power that speaks to how you present yourself, your executive presence, your communication skills, right? You want to be confident as well. We talked about confidence. We talked about how to get there. Let's start implementing that action. Next is a mindset shift. Leadership is actually influence and not authority. What I mean by this is, again, going back to my original example, people automatically think leadership deals with some sort of title or, some sort of power position, but leadership is literally how you're able to influence the masses, how you're able to influence people around you to potentially change their thoughts. The core truth is you do not need a title to lead. You can lead exactly where you are today. Leadership shows up in how you uplift others, how you're able to take initiative, and also how you're able to own your ideas and views. If you're able to do that and you're not doing it today, you really want to start to ask yourself why you're not capable or why you feel like you're not capable of doing that and start to break through and really let your light shine. I want to now talk about some practical ways to lead without a title, right? One of those ways really hones in on speaking up with confidence, getting up, sharing your opinions boldly. You want to be able to offer suggestions, ask thoughtful questions, and own your seat at the table. You don't want to go anywhere and you're just kind of mute. You want to be able to pour back into the conversation. A next way that you can display leadership, especially in the workforce, is initiating something, starting something new at the organization you're at. At my company, we call it invent and simplify, right? And one of the ways we can do that is perhaps maybe starting a lunch and learn. Maybe for 30 minutes out of the month, you start a lunch and learn where you talk about all things personal development, emotional intelligence, and you start to build out your core audience from those types of lunch and learns. That gives you high visibility. It's something that goes against, your typical work day, so people can get a break. Because obviously when you're at lunch, you want to have a break from the workplace. You want to actually just eat, talk about something else other than updating, projects and meetings coming up. You want to be able to break away from that. So having your own kind of like group where you talk about all things emotional intelligence, personal development, whatever that may look like for you. It could be skiing, it could be anything. Another way you can do and act on leadership is mentor and uplift others, right? So I can't think of any job I've been to that doesn't have a mentor or mentee position. There's always going to be a new hire. There's always going to be someone that's looking for your expertise. It doesn't matter if you've been there 6 months, a year, 2 years, right? If you are really good at doing something at your job and in your role, you want to be known as the thought leader for that thing. You want to be able to lift your hand in team meetings and in conversations and share, oh, I have a lot of visibility into this. I've made a lot of mistakes with this, so I can tell you what I would do differently. These are my best practices, and these are the things that I would avoid for next time, right? You've now become a thought leader. Next, I would say you want to be a solution-oriented individual, right? You don't want to just be presenting problems in these meetings, like raising your hand to say, we could do this better, we could do that better. You want to be leading by example. That is real leader energy, right? You want to be providing solutions or potential recommendations for solutions in these meetings or these interactions. Another practical way is you want to show up in presence, right? You want to own the conversations you have with your customers. You want to, stand 10 toes down on it. When you're speaking with people and you actually mean what you say because you know what you're talking about, right? That is so important. Emails and presentations and all hands, whatever the case may be, you just want to own your presence and you want to have that executive presence, lead with, the facts of why you're doing what you're doing and really just meaning it, right? You just really want to own it in that way. Own your voice in emails, presentations, and meetings, right? One way for me that I like to show up is through mentorship in the workspace. I am never afraid to have a coffee chat with someone that is on a higher or senior level than me, in a position that I'd like to have. I always have coffee chats because you know what? I also lead with saying, hey, I eventually want to be in your position. And I'm bold with that. And I share what are the things that I could be doing now in the role that I'm in to finally achieve this. And they are never gonna say, oh, heck no. The space is full. You can't come up and show up like this. No, they're always gonna be so willing and able to give you their nuggets and best practices. And for me, hands down, that is how my upward trajectory has been going so positively. I'm able to adapt quickly and rapidly, asking questions of senior leadership, of my management, of principal individual contributors, just people that are also thought leaders in their own right, and trying to understand and in some ways mimic what they do, all of the interactions that they do that are meaningful, that are in their principal kind of high bar raising, and doing it for myself. As we know, anything starts with just taking the step. And leadership starts with that one big move. So out of all of the things I talked about today, what is one step that you can take this week that you can focus on and get really good at? And I would love to hear about this in the comments. I just want to have a little, girl chat. Want to be able to connect with you and really just be sharing things that are relevant. So please, please, please interact with me, share comments, and let me know what works. But again, thank you for joining me today. Please don't forget to like and subscribe, and I'll see you next time.